I'm now porn adjacent. I run a tabletop game stream regularly with some porn stars, which you can check out with suitable precautions in place at tabletopless.org. And just know that I put as much effort into this campaign as I would any other tits or no tits. I'm back. Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died, and if you're not American, you might be asking yourself,
yeah, and so what?
You'll find potted histories everywhere at the moment, but she's only the second woman to ever serve on the Supreme Court. Claus doesn't count for anything, save in horseshoes and hand grenades. And she's been seen as a bulwark on the Supreme Court for women's rights, advancement of liberal causes, and so on, and as a counterweight to the increasingly activist conservative wing, which has increasingly been appointed to the Supreme Court. So this happening now is not helpful.
How often have you driven by a fire and thought, how can this benefit me?
Well, here's the top few reasons why it matters for the US, and henceforth why it matters globally to one degree or another, because America is such a powerful weight in geopolitics. Firstly, it's going to pump a hell of a lot more heat into all the socially fractured problems that are occurring within the US. This is likely to make what passes for America's left much more agitated, much more likely to engage in street action and so on, because it's such a threat to so many things that they hold absolutely dear. Not least of all, number two, the election. With the election coming in November, well, you remember at the end of Obama's term, when he basically wasn't allowed to appoint a new Supreme Court justice? You would think, with the election being so close, that the same would apply here, but it seems that that's not how things are going to go. We'll have to wait and see whether that goes through or not, but RBG did request that another not be appointed till after the election, but why would Trump honour anyone's final wish? It seems profoundly unlikely, and why would you expect consistency of action from the American Republican Party? You wouldn't. So try and look beyond tribalism and see the hypocrisy present here. If you're going to set terms for one group, you'd better obey them yourself, otherwise you look like a total hypocrite. It's a power play, obviously, but it's not honourable. But then we don't really expect that of this administration, even compared to other US Republican administrations. So there's that. We must also consider that if this election gets closely contested, which is likely, and if it goes to the Supreme Court, which is likely, and if Trump has appointed another Supreme Court justice who is likely to be fairly right-wing and activisty, which is likely, then any judgment that such an unbalanced Supreme Court hands down is unlikely to be seen as valid or proper by about 2/3 of the American population, at least as much as that, or the 30% of real activists. So if it does come down to that, and it does come down to a decision by the Supreme Court, and it does go against Biden and the Democrats, this is even more heat into the system, and this gets incredibly dangerous. We must also consider how this might potentially affect women's rights. RBG was a powerful voice for women on the Supreme Court, and one of the chief blockades against overturning Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion in the States. And so with her gone, one of the impediments to overturning Roe v. Wade, which is something that the evangelical Christians have been banging on about ever since it was first ruled that way, it suddenly becomes a lot more likely, and that increases the heat in the system and the feeling of threat and the moral outrage on what passes for America's left. So you can see this is a perfect clusterfuck And this is a case, finally, where the constant shrieking about abortion being under threat and so forth actually has some teeth to it. When you cried wolf so many times, it's hard to see how necessarily people are going to believe it, but yeah, this is finally genuinely the case. So this is really important. It's a really big issue. It's only going to make things worse, and potentially will make things even worse further down the line. I hate to say it, but it may have been better if she'd left earlier. You still would have gotten a Trump appointed judge, but in a less heated, less dangerous climate. The Supreme Court is never meant to be political anyway. It's meant to be judicious. But neither side in an increasingly polarised America has treated the judicial system that way. We're used to talking about activist left-wing judges, but there are just as many, if not more, activist right-wing judges. And this is particularly a problem when it comes to the Supreme Court. That's who she is, that's what's going on, that's why it's important, and that's why this is about the worst thing that could possibly happen politically as regards the US system at the moment. Zang. Hopefully this is the last one of these I'll have to do. I should be back now. I am better. So what was wrong? My left lug hole was completely plugged up to the point it was apparently causing pressure or something on my inner ear. That combined with exhaustion and a few other issues just sent me keeling over that evening. I've managed to clear it out after many eardrops and syringing. Removing a Cronenberg-esque plug of wax, dead skin and dried blood from my ear. Feels fine, no pain now, I'm not falling over to one side, so hopefully everything is back to normal. Side note, hydrogen peroxide in your ear feels really pleasant. It fizzes and bubbles away. So yeah, I should be back to normal, should be doing everything normally again. Tonight at around 7:30 PM, hopefully the end of the Dragon Warriors campaign that I've been running over on the Grim Streams channel, so go and check that out. Then I'll be taking a break from running games apart from Tabletopless while I figure out what it is that I want to play or do next. Take care everyone, Second Zang. At the end of World War II, the Axis and the Allies went to war with A-bombs until nobody was left to fight. In this atomic wasteland, a new breed of rockabilly hero arises. From the gleaming domes of Science City Zero to the sleazy roller derbies of Vegas and the sky fortress of the Fourth Reich, there's a new world for the taking. 45, Psychobilly Retropocalypse, available at lulu.com and RPG Now.